Hello, I'm Ilana Glazer, and you're watching In Studio with The Hollywood Reporter. Oh.
All right, let's talk about The Planet is Burning.
Let's talk about it.
Are you Nostradamus? Because that's actually happening right now.
Yeah, no, I'm just a literate, living and breathing individual who knows that the planet is burning. It's like it's no surprise, it's no secret. But that is sort of, I guess, the lens through which I think of everything, because it's on my mind all day, every day.
Yeah.
And it does, I talk about it a little bit in the special that the planet is burning, but it really does happen to be my lens.
Right, and it's interesting because you're a comedian, and there is a level of levity and carefreeness and craziness to being a comedian, but at the same time, comedians seem to be the people who are kind of at the forefront of speaking truth to power right now.
It's so weird. I'm 32, and I've been doing comedy for 13 years. I started when I was 19, and I remember at the time seeing this change where comedians were becoming modern-day philosophers, really, and seeing the stage change. And now that, our president, it seems like a joke. It seems like we're living in a satire. So then comedians are like the most serious people that there are, because the people who are supposed to be serious are clown-like.
Right.
I think it's sickly funny, to be honest.
Yes. We're living in end times. I don't mean to laugh, but we are living in end times.
I hope that what I'm hoping is that it is the end of the old way. We're like, the power structures that we live in are 10,000 years old, which is like, 10,000 years. But humanity is like 100,000 years old. Mm-hmm. Society is sub-humanity. So I'm hoping that it's end times of the way that we know the world to be, where you can own people and own the planet and own women, whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that it is the end of those times.
Those times.
That's my hope.
Yeah.
And I am optimistic about it, although it clearly could go the other way because the planet is burning right now.
Yes. Well, you need a little bit of suspense, right?
Yeah.
For the happy ending.
That's right.
But talking about your stand-up special, you open it in a very optimistic way. You can see that you have a lot of joy in you. Was there a lot of pressure to kind of design the stand-up special a certain way?
I always need to get a hug and dance a little bit in the beginning of a show because I'm nervous, dancing just helps. I just get it out, get it off. I'm always dancing in the wings and then come out dancing. Just for my own physiology to just chill out so I can cool out enough to serve my audience. And that was my whole team, my producers and my comedians that I was hugging on the way out, and it just felt so good. And I do feel like there's a lot of joy to be had right now. And, the act of joy is, I'm quoting someone, I don't know exactly who it is, and people are saying, have said this before, I'm not the first to say this, but joy is an act of resistance. It's radical to be a young woman and be joyful and to own your body and to own the space you're taking up and the time you're taking up. Even though I think I appear to people through my character in Broad City and through stand-up as just taking that space without thinking about it. I do think about it. It's hard. I feel doubtful and, it's, I'm not sure if, is it too much space or, am I taking it up in the right way or for the right reason or whatever? But I myself am working to get to a place where I'm just aligned, and when I'm taking up that space, I'm taking it up, and when I'm not, I'm not. But it felt really good and felt aligned to open the special dancing to Rihanna, hugging my friends, and dancing with my audience.
Let's talk a little bit about some of your subject matter. You speak a lot to the idea of being uncomfortable with gender norms. And then you also find the humor in homophobia. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
So why are these subjects important to you?
Well, the gender norms thing is interesting to me. I am so grateful to, the trans community and the LGBTQ community and trans people of color. They paved the way for everyone else who maybe appears like they fit in more or whatever to the standard, they pave the way for everyone else to feel more fluid within themselves.
Right.
And I'm really grateful for those conversations because, you know, while as a cis white person, I have relative bodily safety that's afforded to me because of the system, whatever. But I really appreciate those conversations that have been coming up, and I appreciate that I can say that these days, that I feel like a dude. I feel like a third a dude. Yeah. And, okay, big deal. You know, whereas whatever, 20 years ago, it'd be like, you know, it'd be crazy, but people who are just living their lives, who don't necessarily mean to be progressing the culture, they're just trying to be themselves, make it possible for everyone to be themselves a little bit more.
And for my sexuality, if I were a drink, I'd be 1 part gay and 2 parts straight. 1 part gay and 2 parts straight, okay? So you might call that drink a vagina tonic. Or like at a different bar with a different vibe, a both sexes on the beach. I have one more. Okay, instead of a martini, a muff-peenie.
Do you appreciate the introduction of the word queer or queerness into everyone's vocabulary?
Absolutely.
Or the youth, I guess we'll talk about millennials maybe.
Yeah, I mean, millennials and Gen Z seem to be really embracing their fluidity in a way that is so exciting, arousing, dope, sick to me. I'm so proud of the generation that's coming up into adulthood. I'm so proud to be a part of it. And it's funny, my queerness has been kind of shown to me through Broad City, and Abby too. We've both experienced this unique, privileged version of self-actualization where we've gotten to work it out on the show and then reflect and be like, damn, I wasn't joking. That was me, you know? So I've learned a lot from Broad City, including about my own queerness and identity politics from reviews and reading or reading people's pieces on Ilana being bi. I remember reading this this article about this girl being like, Ilana Wexler makes me feel more comfortable at being a bisexual woman, and I was like, I'm bi. And I was like, I guess I am. I'm queer. I am. And it's a while the planet is burning, what a time to be alive.
Yes.
It's an amazing,
yes,
mind-blowing time to be
yeah,
alive.
what a time to celebrate being radical.
Yeah, that's right.
Going from an improv background to stand-up, there used to be kind of a line of demarcation. There were the stand-ups, who were the veterans, the touring people, the people who lived out of hotels and in smoky clubs, and then there were the improv people, like the Will Ferrells and Amy Poehler's of the world. So where do you fit into that, or are those lines of demarcation kind of going away now?
So much here to unpack, Mariah. I have so much to unpack for you. Okay, so I want to say that as when I started in comedy, again, I'm 13 years ago. What is time? How old am I? Who am I? What year is it? But when I started in comedy, alt humor was not mainstream, and mumblecore was new and really radically real. Things were so different, and when I talk to 23-year-olds in the scene, I'm like, times have changed, and I have changed with them. It's just having an effect on me. I'm growing up, and I'm like, holy shit. But when I started, I was doing improv, sketch, and stand-up all at the same time. And I have to be honest, I wasn't amazing at any of them. I really wasn't. I was. What I was amazing at was being a multi-hyphenate and a producer, which I think tracks now. I improv is so hard for me. It's not unless during stand-up, that's sometimes how I find jokes, and I'm like, yes. But I'm not a stand-up who goes to smoky clubs every night at all. And usually stand-ups eventually have a show, and my path has been reversed from that typical order. And I feel I've like worked through shame and anxiety and guilt about it. I've had guilt about like entering stand-up after Broad City and being like, they're only here because they know me. And then I like got to this point where I'm like, yeah, because they know me. Who cares?
Yeah.
Just go and do this is what I'm saying about taking space and like that alignment, like feeling weird about it. It's like, yeah, because they know you. Just what? Like, it's bad to, I'm just trying to like make people happy and laugh and think and feel connected. Like, what's this weird like harshness we put on ourselves, aka I put on myself? I myself have like thought about that order and still think about it, and I'm still like, oh, it's a little weird. I'm not as good as I want to be. I want to get better in this way, but so what? You know what I mean? Like it's out there, and men have typically had this space to figure themselves out in public and be celebrated for it. So why shouldn't I take up that space?
Yeah, take it.
But those lines are blurring, and it's so exciting. And I feel like my like fluidity and the queer poly nature of like one aspect of me actually translates to my work, where I love to play different roles. I love to wear different hats in different projects, and it kind of goes with that fluid nature of our generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the legends of Broad City, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you and Abby created that show because you weren't being included with the other male improv actors.
Yeah.
So now, after the success, the amazing success of Broad City, do you feel like the doors are opening for you, or are you still kind of fighting your way?
One thing I want to say is that Abby is really good at improv. That like was her, and she and I came up doing improv together and characters and sketch, and I just like your improv. I just want to say that. Yeah. We could not. We were auditioning for this just to be in the system that the Upright Citizens Brigade had figured out, where you take classes and then you try to be on a house team, and we couldn't get on a damn team. We couldn't be selected for what, so we had to select ourselves. And it actually, post Broad City, I still find that creating for myself is the most reliable. Yeah. That when I am brought something that someone has thought of me for, it's this like outside in perception of what they perceive of me, pretty much from Broad City. Right. But you know what? You like work with it and you give notes and you try to strengthen something. But
you're already starting at a place of kind of distance, whereas when you're doing your own thing, it's coming from you're already starting at a place of complete familiarity.
Yeah, and it's just like J.D. Washington, the talented actor.
Yeah.
I was talking to JD about this because he would watch my special and he was like, I can't believe you do stand-up. And I'm like, I can't believe you strictly act and you allow others to judge you based on only your acting.
Right.
Whereas I will spread it across. Well, I also wrote it. Well, I also produced it.
Yeah.
And like even on set, like it just amazes me, that athletic ability to stay in the zone, where I like to be producing stuff so that I can like click out easily and be like, hey y'all, and like just get back into the production of it. I look forward to taking a project where I am solely acting and being vulnerable in that way and being like, I just want to be a good actor in this, I have like some projects brewing. This one in particular, this movie that I'm working on putting together, and it was written for me, but it was written by a really talented writer that I came up with. So she knows me from way back, and it's like sort of like a me type, So it's not like JD, who's like going out there and transforming. And I hope to try it all over the course of my career.
Can you tell me a little bit about the Generator series?
Generator is my political organization that I co-founded with my friend Glennis Mahar, and it's a collective of 2 parts. It's a URL and IRL. So the URL is an online movement that lives on Instagram, and the IRL experience is Generator Live. I just do a sit-down series with experts, politicians, activists to understand at a basic level how the system works. We are trying to define minimal civic engagement and embody that. And then we also do Jenny Socials. These are voter empowerment dance parties where we dance for 15 minutes, interrupt, I call it synagogue announcements. We do 15 minutes, we do synagogue announcements. We're like, meet this candidate. And then people are like, candidate. And we just give them the information, the Instagram information, and it's kind of like canvassing on Instagram with your social network. And we're trying to create cheat sheets for the voting booth for the people who come to Jenny Socials, and they can share that with their platforms. So in March, I'm going on tour doing stand-up and Jenny Socials. Everywhere I do stand-up, I'm going to do a Jenny Social the next night in the same city. And the tour is called Horny for the Polls. We are horny for the POLLS polls. But then we can double entendre that with some stripper imagery.
Perfect.
So yeah, so that's what we're doing in the first half of 2020 with Generator. And we're working on getting the word out about Democrat candidates at the state level.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you on tour. Have a wonderful 2020.
Thanks.
And where can people find you on Instagram?
They can find me at ILANA, at Ilana.
And The Planet is Burning is on Amazon.
That's right. Bye. Thank you.